Do you want to achieve your max? Check out Cardomax.com, owned and operated by former Navy SEAL Sean Matson. They've got a couple different products that you guys can check out. They've got the Energy Intensifier, which is filled with BCAAs, B12, B6, and 200 milligrams of caffeine in 4 different flavors: watermelon, grape, pink raspberry, or blue raspberry rather, and pink lemonade. They also have hydration ones that has a whole bunch of stuff in it, but there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce it because I couldn't even pronounce some other stuff that I did in some prior promo codes. So the hydration stuff has raspberry and lemon lime, really good. And then if you need some help with your immune system, they also have immune boosters that are in the orange and watermelon. They have a whole bunch of vitamin C and some other things in it to help you out. And they also have a recovery solution that you can use that comes in a cherry lime and a grape. And these have a whole bunch of BCAAs and vitamins in it as well. So please go check them out. Their stuff tastes really good. I really enjoy it. I try and tailor back from the caffeine a little bit just because I find myself just dumping a whole bunch of packets in there because they taste so good. So it's nice to kind of get a variety pack, if you will, because at least I can try the energy intensifier in the morning or kind of when I'm dying in the afternoon. And then late at night, when I still want some flavor in my water, I throw in the immune booster or even the recovery drinks. And then who doesn't need hydration? So check them out. Promo code One's Ready at checkout will get you a discount. They support us, so we support them. We don't get anything from it, but definitely go check them out because their stuff is on fire.
It makes it sound weird. I'm gonna take a drink of this. Actual recording is higher quality. Thank goodness.
I don't know what that means, but I was doing the countdown. So if for anybody that's curious out there, Aaron does not like the countdown before the recording starts.
I hate the countdowns.
Welcome back to another Aaron and Trent and Maverick. Why do you hate it so much?
I don't know. I just do. I hate the countdowns. They make me feel some type of way. I'm just ready right now. Let's just go. No countdowns. It's hard to coordinate, but that's what it is.
So, did you do anything interesting today?
I did do something interesting today. I went and saw a movie. You know what movie that is? Oh, look at your cup. You have the Top Gun Maverick commemorative cup.
I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a good thing to do on Memorial Day. Spend some time with the family. Go see a movie filled with nostalgia and stuff. What'd you think? So for everybody out there, we actually did talk about, we're going to do like a full in-depth review and talk about whatever the movie and then see where it goes. So we're going to start with Aaron, I think, if you're okay with this.
I'm totally okay with this. I think so. We should tell everybody, spoiler alert, we're going to talk in plain language here. If you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, don't listen to this podcast. We're going to tell you things that happen in the movie. Okay. So don't go into the comment section and complain about how we didn't tell you. Maybe you wait and see it and then you form your own opinion and you come back. Or if you don't care about that sort of thing, you can listen. But I just want to let you know, we're going to be talking in spoilers. I was skeptical of this movie when I went in for a number of different reasons. Okay. So number one, the Air Force made its own recruiting video and put it in a Navy movie. And everybody's like, oh, Top Gun makes me want to go to the Air Force. It's a Navy movie, everybody. I hate to break this to you, but yeah, Top Gun came out in, when was this, 88, 89? When was the original Top Gun?
I think it was 86.
Makes sense. A young man, I was 6 years old when this movie came out. So, I didn't get it either, but here we are. I went in super skeptical, right? So let's start off right away. It opens big. I like the opening. Okay. It immediately got me invested in a bunch of different characters, right? We catch up with Maverick. We catch up with, the captain. Now he's only in 06. 06 was 30 years in. I made this joke already, but how much is this dude making living in that hangar?
Dude, and throughout the movie, every time they're like, still just a captain, I'm like, that's an 06.
With 30 years in. He's the only living fighter pilot ace that we have in the Navy, and he's a 30-year 06 that essentially he would be a legend in the Navy. He wouldn't be able to go to the fact that he goes to a fighter bar. This is later in the movie. He goes to a fighter bar And everybody, like, that was one of the cheesier parts of the movie that I did not like. Nobody in this bar knew who that guy was. The most famous 06 in the fighter community that's lived ever. He was just flying secret planes in the desert. We couldn't recognize him?
No. It's just like when GZ goes to like a combat control bar in Fort Walton Beach. Nobody recognizes him. That's how it.
Nobody, yeah.
But like
nobody
recognizes
him.
Expand that by like orders of magnitude, you know?
Right. 100%. So that part, okay, I got it. There were a couple of cheesy parts. I guess I should say we'll save the review, like the thumbs up, thumbs down, to the very end. But one of the things that I promised myself that I was not going to do is walk in here and be like, oh, that's inaccurate. That's not how you do that. That's stupid. That's blah, 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 blah. It's just a movie. Every single one of my friends was telling me what a great movie this was. So I was willing to have some suspension of disbelief where, hey, it's just an action movie. They're going to do wacky things like call back this washed up test pilot to instruct at a school that he got fired from, 30 years earlier. I got it. There's going to be some things that don't make a lot of sense. But one of the things that didn't make a lot of sense, that guy, I don't know what his investment portfolio looks like, but a 30-year 06 living in an abandoned hangar, he's not paying for rent. His overhead is essentially zero. He's just been flying, getting fighter pilot pay for 30 years. He's got to be rich.
Yeah. I mean, he did have that sweet plane he was fixing up, and those are not cheap, as far as I understand it. But he has money. No wife, no kids,
none, single.
It is what it is.
Living that life, a couple failed relationships, just really something to aspire to. You know what I mean? A single guy living in a hangar. Nobody asking him where he's been. He's just there. He's like, I've been working on my plane, or don't ask me.
Yeah, that's one of the points in the movie where I did not lean over to my wife and be like, doesn't that look amazing? Doesn't
that look like something that you would want to do?
That poor dude looks so lonely and sad.
So he gets the call. He's out there. He's just, being a lone wolf. I won't spoil like entire, like I won't go plot point for plot point, but a dust up of his current job leads him into this impossible scenario where he has to train the younger generation, right? And here's where I know this is not going to come across well, Trent. It's going to be two old guys talking about how much they love seeing an old guy. Like, hey, we need you for one more mission. Like, boy, if that ain't the dream, I
mean, that's the only reason we still work out.
That's it.
You're going to look through everybody's files and be like, guess what? The only people that fit the profile that we need for this mission to save the world is Aaron and Trent. Go train up some youngins. We're like, well,
I can't imagine what type of mission that would be. I always knew this day was coming. I can't imagine what type of mission that would be. I wouldn't even pick me for that mission. I'd be like, there has to be some other people that are better than this.
I mean, unless there's like a humanitarian crisis in Ohio and no one else wants to go, which makes sense.
There's always a humanitarian crisis in Ohio, Trent. Joke's on you. There's been a running humanitarian crisis in Ohio since it made itself a state in the late 1800s.
We still haven't gotten the call. This is nonsense.
We still haven't gotten the call. So Maverick shows back up and he puts two and two together that he's going to be the instructor. He's going to be the teacher. So what do you got to do? Man, you need a training montage, and it's got to show how bad the team is to start. You know what I mean? Because at the end, when they're better, you got to have something to compare it to. So what does he do? He does a little something I like to call jacks him up, establishes dominance. Just absolutely owns him in the sky. Sky owning.
I will say, and I don't think I'm going to ruin anything, but there were a lot of parts of the movies where you're like, come on. But like every time that there is a plane flying, like the dialogue might leave something to be desired a few times, but the aerial footage, I mean, they knocked it out of the park. It was fantastic. So,
and I will say, I'm gonna, you're not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna give you hints. I'm gonna give you breadcrumbs as to what I think that this movie is rated for me. They absolutely knocked every single one of those fight scenes out of the park. And up until that point, you are still emotionally invested. What they didn't do, and I heard a review that said they didn't try too hard. They didn't try to make this movie something that it wasn't. They were like, listen, people are coming to this movie for ego, for dogfighting, throw a little bit of romantic relations in there just to make me care about it, and we want to see America win. I got to say, my boy, we crushed that. Jerry Bruckheimer, you came up and you dropped a banger.
I think they tried really hard like they obviously went back and studied that movie and another movie I think that I'm not going to talk about just yet. But like,
Okay.
you know, they give you exactly what you want. Like it's almost tongue in cheek. Like when Ed Harris is telling him like, "Oh, and I got this call at the perfect timing that I'm trying to fire you and kick you out of the Navy, but you're going to be a like." They're kind of letting you in at that point as an audience member that like we know this is ridiculous, but like it's Maverick. It's
But it's
not
why
supposed
you're
to make
watching.
sense.
Right. People watch worldwide, WWF. People watch the WWE right now, knowing that the good guy is going to win, knowing that the bad guy is going to lose. And guess what? It's still real to me, homie. Ed Harris was going to try to keep him down. Ed Harris had one of the best exchanges ever in any military movie where he says, "I said, stand down, Sergeant," in The Rock. So you knew
Oh yeah.
Ed Harris was not going to be a pushover. And he even said in the movie, he was like, "I hate to do it, but you're the only man for the mish. You got to go."
Can we talk about Ed Harris for a second? Now that you brought it up, when he does the stand down sergeant and his voice cracks a little bit in The Rock, I mean, Zach, it's all falling apart. Like just that little thing.
I have always, you know this, I know this. We love chaos. I've always wanted to be the guy that's getting yelled at like that because I want to be doing something so wacky that somebody has to order me to stand down. That's my dream. That's my military dream.
Huh? Yeah. I mean, everybody's
the
got
righteous
dreams.
battle and getting yelled at. So Maverick is there and he starts training him. Do you think that they had any ability, Trent? I mean, they were good pilots, but man, the mission, it's tough. You think they passed any of those first tests?
I don't think so.
Nope.
I'm gonna say no.
I don't think they did. But moving on, like any good teacher, here's the other thing. There's a couple things in the movie that happened more than once, and for that reason and that reason alone, I got to be like, all right, come on. He already stole the test plane to go fly it as fast as it needed to go, right? That was the first thing. Now, this is the second plane stealing of the movie where he decided on his own, and here's what happened. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear specifics, you have 5 seconds to fast forward about 35 seconds, maybe a minute. I'm about to tee up for a big one. 2,
No,
1, you had
just
your chance.
listen. Just listen and leave angry comments. I don't care.
That's it. I don't care. Fight in the comments. So
Yeah.
not only does he take off, imagine the amount of people. So he'd need to go out there, put power to the aircraft, then he would need to taxi and get clearance, all while his boss is looking for him actively. He's like, where is Maverick, right? They are no kidding. He's got to take off, he's got to get clearance, and then he gets to range control. This is the most unreal part of this entire movie. Not F-18. We're going to talk about some other unreal things, but there is no way that you show up to a range on a military range and you're not supposed to be there, and the range guy just lets you on. If there is one group of people in the world that will not let you do exactly what happened, which is like, hey, I'm going to be on this range anyway. Not if range control's there, you don't.
Dude, and let me apologize to the one like good range control person that's ever existed in the history of the world, but the rest of them are awful.
Is there a good range control person?
I'm an optimist. I'm assuming there had to be one once that was just cool.
There has to be one out there.
I didn't meet that person, but like, maybe I'm going into the multiverse thing where there had to be one once.
There had to be one. I see, and that's the thing. I just don't believe it. This one range, person was. I think it was a guy. I didn't ask their gender, so I apologize. Everybody, take it easy. But they were just like, "Okay, Maverick, we don't show anything for you, sir, but go ahead." And he's like, "I'm in."
Go.
Spoiler alert: he crushes the. Go ahead.
Sorry. The funny thing is when he does with the test plane, when he takes it out when he's not supposed to, they show like 10% of what it takes to get a plane airborne and like all the people involved and all that other stuff. And then like, no, you can just go hop in an F-18 and take off. You're fine.
No. Apparently you can just walk right up to it. There's no keys. I think there's just, if you know the sequence of the buttons and the switches, you just turn it on and there you go. So he steals the plane. He proves that they can run it. And here's my other favorite part. Like, they never name the country, right? They say that we're going to fly over a border. They say it's a nuclear reactor. We got to go blow this thing up. They just won't say China. I love that they're just like, nope, we can't call it China. Like, they're like, listen, these guys have 5th-gen fighters. They're going to knock out GPS. They're going to do all this other stuff. And they're like, but it's just a random country.
But China already has nukes.
China does already have nukes, but it doesn't mean they don't want to further their nuclear capability.
Like, and it didn't look like Iran.
It didn't look like Iran, and they don't have 5th gen.
Was it North? North Korea with some 5th gen fighters and some stolen other things.
Where'd they get 5th gen
I'm
fighters?
jumping ahead.
You are. But these are some of the things that I was willing to overlook, right? Like I understand that everything wasn't going to be like completely and totally coherent, but I just laughed because they were like, oh, these guys can do all these things. I'm like, so China, but you don't want to say it because you don't want the movie to do badly overseas. Got it. Okay, cool. Moving. So,
Right. Well, I mean,
all right. So
that was out in the open. Like Tom Cruise had to remove some of the patches from his fighter jacket so they could release it worldwide. Anyway.
You hate to see it. All right, so plane stealing number 2 works out. By the way, the number of things that he should have gotten court-martialed for and kicked out of the military for at this time in the movie is up to like number 5. Right? He stole 2 planes. He destroyed one of them. Here we are. He shows them that it can be done. How did you like the Rooster plotline? The whole, I mean, like, you know, like I get it. I'm glad they didn't spend more time on it. I thought they spent too much time as it was.
Well, you know, like, it's one of those things where it's kind of contrived, very contrived.
Right.
And, but because Miles Teller was Rooster, and he's like, obviously where they spent their money on the actor was that guy. You know, the rest of the people, like, whatever, John Hamm, but like all the bit parts and everything. But, you know, I think he pulled it off fairly well. And I think at the end of the movie is where they kind of wrapped it up. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they give you exactly what you want. Like all that complete closure and all that other stuff. And, you know, and the scene in the forest was, you know, maybe my favorite scene.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Speak about like the suspension of disbelief, like to get to that moment, like, oh.
Right. Have to. You have, and again, there were certain things that I was willing to accept. I was not going to go into this movie and be like, it's not even the right rank. That's not even how tactics work. Oh, now they're just behind enemy lines, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just refused to. Like, I get it. Okay, but
that was
how
the other movie I was going to mention.
What a terrible thing to have to deal with somebody that's what they want to focus on this movie about a 30-year aviator that just randomly gets tagged for the most secret, like top secret mission in the world. And we're like quibbling about like what they would do when they get on the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's people. I mean, I think those scenes work though, because everybody, like, because they're human, like, and normal everyday people relate to it. Right. If they would have got on the ground and been like hyper professional and just executed E&E and done what they were supposed to, it would be a boring movie. It'd be stupid. But I do have a question.
Well,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is Behind Enemy Lines the only successful fighter pilot movie since the original Top Gun? And is that why they had to also rip that one off a little bit?
I don't know. Was that the other movie that you were going to talk about? Was Behind Enemy Lines?
Yeah. They couldn't let Owen Wilson have his thing?
No, they couldn't.
What I mean?
Yeah, screw Owen Wilson. I, on behalf of PR fanboys everywhere, I say that good riddance. I'm glad that we don't have to watch Behind Enemy Lines now, because now there's a direct ripoff and they just rolled it into Maverick, which makes it's a one-stop shop.
To be fair, I mean, you could have done the Behind Enemy Lines movie in about 10 minutes, which is what Maverick did, and just wrapped it, you know, boom, whole movie done.
100%. Oh, thank God you're here. Yeah. I do want to say, like, I always love watching people that will imitate military life that have never been part of military life, right? So they think we're always like, yeah, Roger, man. See you at 1400. Copy that. Tracking. There are some people that talk like that in the military. We have a word for them. We call them douchebags. Nobody talks like that in their real life. And if you do, you're like, why are you talking like that? Are you okay?
And it's like more senior people or like mid-career people that are like thinking about getting out of the military that are still, you know, like, I don't care about anything, but all their conversations are like, you know, hoo-yahs and copy, and it's like,
Roger that.
Yeah.
Tracking like a three-legged dog in the snow, huh? Who?
Yeah.
What did you say? What is that? Is that a statement?
I'm a loose cannon. This is how I talk. No.
I'm
no,
a
bro.
loose cannon. Is there anybody that is more apropos or more deserving of the term loose cannon than Riggs? Or no, it wasn't Riggs. What was Mel Gibson's name in Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, that was Riggs.
Was it Riggs?
Right?
Yeah, that's the only person that is deserving of a term loose cannon. I feel like it's him. It's the main character in Die Hard, like Bruce Willis's character in Die Hard. I feel like John McClane is a loose cannon.
Yeah.
You have to earn loose cannon. Maverick is a loose cannon. Any guy that can steal not only 2, we haven't even gotten to the 3rd time that he stole a jet. Okay, so first of all, very Star Wars vibes on the way that they had to fly in. You can't tell me it didn't feel like he was trying to hit a ventilation shaft and he knew how to do it from bombing swamp rats.
That was another movie ripoff that they did.
It was
the multiple
it was
miracles
almost
required.
exactly like they took the attack
Like
plane
when they had it up on the
from
screen
the Rebel attack.
and they showed like what had to happen, it looked like the Star Wars hologram.
100%. Like, oh, you got to put it in a 3x3 meter. And I was like, 3 meters? You even use the same measurements. You didn't even change the measurements. It's still 3 meters, isn't it? Like, guys, we can't do better than this. Like, it's Maverick. So here we go. Continuing spoiler alert. It's just a big spoiler alert. I'm going to record a separate thing for the beginning of this that's just going to say straight up, like, here is your spoiler alert. We talk about all the things. So, joke's on you.
I think we should go
Maverick,
the other direction and tell them there's no spoiler alerts and then just see what happens.
Okay, that's actually better. Yeah, no, guys, we don't talk about anything. This is totally safe, and then just ruin it right off the rip.
Yeah.
So they fly the Star Wars pattern, right? Maverick gets his team together. Big surprise here. He takes Goose and not Hangman because he'll always leave it. Like, how do you get a call sign that's specifically like you F your buddy? Like, you might as well just be called the Blue Falcon.
Yeah, but if he's like legit the best of his generation, you know? I don't know.
I suppose. So we go, let's see what happens here. They get shot down, then they got to try to find, they're evading, right? So every Seer guy's soon-to-be dream is coming up. And it's where 2 aviators navigate to this airfield, which they've already blown up. They got hit with pre-assault fires on this air. The entire airfield is decimated. Okay, they did it specifically so they couldn't launch aircraft to interdict. And there it is. It's an F-14 Tomcat that they made reference to in the future. If only we had some old geezer that knew how to fly a decommissioned aircraft. Tom Cruise is there.
Yeah.
He knows how to fly a Tomcat.
He does.
So again, here we go.
I've seen it.
This thing is gassed up. This thing is armed. This thing is sitting next to an APU just ready to go. Nobody has secured this one good aircraft after the initial aircraft explosions all around them at the airfield.
No one else knows how to fly it. They stole that thing or whatever 40 years ago when it was cool.
Tom Cruise is, walking Rooster through, starting this up. He's like, okay, here's how to run an APU. Goes flawlessly. It's not like there's a whole tech school. There's a whole career field called AGE, and they just work on aircraft ground equipment.
I don't know if you noticed, though, that Tom Cruise was working on his P-51 Mustang, which is the same thing as being a maintainer on an F-14.
He's a multi-capable Navy aviator. No? Is that not what this is? This is what it is.
Yeah.
So the multi-capable Navy aviator, they get the aircraft started, and then they start flying off, and now here we go. And it's where Trent and I, our little hearts swell up, and it's the old bull and the young bull, and they're fighting against the new threat, like these blacked out, black multicam, painted 5th-generation fighters. Not from China, of course.
No.
Just somebody else procured 5th-generation fighters that they're C2ing somehow, and they're just flying around with integrated air defense systems everywhere. And here comes the 5th-generation fighter to fight the Tomcat. First of all, the one guy that gets it right off the rip, what are you doing? What kind of formation are you flying where he just gets to shoot you right away? Come on, man.
They were like, we're friends because the plane that hasn't taken off in 30 years, apparently one of our comrades figured out how to take it off from the bombed out runway and has just been loitering. And then we pull up next to him and there's 2 dudes with English on their helmets waving at us. And I'm like, I'm a little confused if I'm the 5th gen guy. You know, I'm like, are we like, is someone playing 3D chess? Like, are you guys like double agents? Are you going to, like, is this not KGB, you know, like whatever they're called, FSB now? Like, what if they're heading out to the aircraft carrier to do a surprise attack? I don't know. But like, these are the things that are going through this dude's head. It's very confusing for him.
100%. And they ripped off Independence Day when Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, they dock up and then they open the window and they're like, just smile and wave. Like, hey, we're supposed to be here. Just smile and wave. You know what I mean? Come on. We've seen this before.
The Independence Day ripoff. There's so many movies. They took like all of them.
But you know what? It makes it feel like home. You know what I mean? Like when you see this, like there were no twists and turns. Like luckily, we didn't have to deal with anybody that was a main character dying. That's tight. Like the most wacky, miracle laden mission went off as well as it could when they got out. There's firefights with Tomcats. There's a crash landing that ends up being just fine. Like I don't know. It's even the scene on the carrier. It felt great. It felt good. It felt like a warm blanket, Trent. Like I knew what was going to happen and I wasn't upset about it. I was happy when it happened.
I know, but like who walks away from that many plane crashes? It's just like not a mark on them. Hair is still just a little messed up. So,
Captain Maverick Thomas Mitchell or whatever his name is. I still don't know his name too. They called him by it the entire time. What is it?
Pete Mitchell.
Whatever. I don't care. What American name?
No, because Jennifer
like,
Connelly called him Pete like 800 times in a row, and I was like,
so many times.
Jennifer, we got it. Okay.
Right.
I know that like you're still a little drugged out from that first movie you did back in the day. If somebody look it up, you'll understand.
Somebody look it up. You will understand a little bit better.
I'm not going to talk about that movie. I'm sorry.
I just love every part of this felt like putting on a warm blanket. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't here's the things that I did well. Cause like I think we've gotten to the end of the movie now. Like Maverick. Oh, we didn't talk about. So number one, did you know that Val Kilmer was not in that movie?
Wait, what?
I am happy to watch your face. Val Kilmer was not in that movie. The person, Ice, the commander of whatever, cannot talk. He is CGI'd into that movie.
But Val Kilmer also has the thing where he has a hard time talking now.
Right. But I believe he is so sick from the cancer that is the hard thing that he has. I'll look it up right here. Hey, young Jamie, pull that up. We don't have a young Jamie.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I read a review on somewhere and someone was like, I thought it was weird that Val Kilmer doesn't really talk. And I was like, do you not know that Val Kilmer actually has a thing where he has to use this weird thing and he drools a lot and like he's okay-ish now. I thought he was okay-ish. But he's got the voice thing that's all jacked up.
So he did not talk at all. AI was used to produce his voice and all of the lines for him speaking. He did not speak a single word in this movie. He did physically appear. That's the part that I was incorrect on. However, the AI actually made him talk.
Yeah, they got enough hours of Val Kilmer talking where they can reproduce that.
They really do.
I'm trying to get to that point where someone can reproduce my voice for some stupid reason and say dumber things than I already say.
I was going to say, like, they could do it to me, but how are you going to hurt me? Like, I've already said all of the dumb things. You know what I mean? Like, those are, I have to own those. Those are all mine original thoughts. They're not good.
They're like, Aaron actually got a little smarter. What happened?
It's because it's not him. It's because AI. It's because AI decided that Aaron could be not stupid for 5 seconds, and a computer was able to figure that out. And Aaron was unable to do that, even with therapy for more than 10 years. Good job, bud.
They programmed it to pretend that you're not from Ohio. Last thing I'm going to say. I'm sorry.
That's half the battle right there. If you somehow made me believe inside of my head that I was from like a normal state, like, I don't know, Florida comparatively or somewhere else. Where are normal people from? I don't know.
Not Florida.
Idaho. Yeah, not Florida.
Yeah.
That would be half the battle. I like the interaction with Val Kilmer, like with Iceman. And it's funny to dudes in their careers, like guys that have constantly told everybody to F off all the time and never gotten the assignment they wanted. That's like Maverick. And then guys that just like Iceman, he ended up being the commander of the entire naval fleet in the Pacific. You know why? He was probably just like, all right, yeah, cool, roger that, can't change it. And then he just went and did that job. And there he is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he kind of seemed like the career guy anyway, by the book.
He did.
But also, he had that experience with Maverick back in the day that allowed him to see the value that the current Navy brass could not see in Maverick, and they were very confused by it until the end of the movie when it all works out again. And they were trying not to squirt one.
Trying not to. They were trying real hard. Yeah, so again, we get to the end of this thing. So Maverick gets everything he wants, to include the girl. Even the girl came back. Mav is finally ready to settle down. That guy needs a test. You're telling me this Navy fighter pilot with a huge ego has been getting 06 single guy pay for this long, and Jennifer Connelly has just been wasting away in this small town, Nasney, North Island? Come on. Get out of
Yeah,
here. Y'all need.
that's what I'm telling
Y'all got to
you.
have a serious conversation about your life before you start this
Ma-
relationship. Are you ready to settle down? I'd ask.
Maybe the most believable part of the movie was that. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
The
I see what they were trying to do, right? Like, and maybe it was because I saw it on Memorial Day, you know, and I'm I'm feeling vulnerable today. But
there it
like,
is.
Maverick couldn't put the stuff behind him about Goose, and he's been trying his whole life, and like it's just been like this chaos in the background. And he tried to keep Goose's son out of the academy. It didn't work. He became a fighter pilot. He ends up in this place, and Iceman is like no one knows Maverick better than Iceman. We're assuming at this point in his life, and so Iceman puts him in a situation to rectify that thing and to allow Maverick to move on finally after 30
Do you think
years.
Iceman's the real hero?
Iceman is the real hero.
I think Iceman might be the real hero here.
He made it happen. So
I do like that they didn't spend too much time on it. Like, again, they really, like, people would be like, oh, well, all these things were kind of superficial. No, that's what I liked about it. They didn't go too deep into the love story and too deep into the Rooster story and too deep into the Iceman thing. It was just like quick, like, here I am. I don't know what to do. You need to let it go. I don't know how. It's who I am. We'll find it when you open your heart to love. And then that guy dies. And then he's completely ready to find love with somebody else. And that's all you need. Like, that happened in a course of like 6 hours. Maverick figured out 4 things in his life that's taken him 30 years to come to grips with. He got 4 of them knocked out in an afternoon because of Val Kilmer.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how guys work, though. You know? You just need that thing. You need that fight with that guy that you have the thing with, and then afterwards you're good. And that allows you to free up space to go after the girl and realize what's important in life instead of just beating yourself up about your best friend's death 30 years ago.
That's a good point. And then you get to fly with his son in the coup de grace, the culmination of the entire film. Fantastic. I felt it coming too. I thought they were going to try and pull some shenanigans on me when the eject sequence and Rooster couldn't eject and things were scary. Man, I gotta be honest with you. I was pretty worked up.
Yeah. They had some chances to turn it into kind of a bummer. You know,
a real bummer.
They could have killed Maverick. You know that there were people that were like, "Hey, what if Maverick dies?
What if Maverick just dies?" There's got to be an alternate ending.
Yeah. I mean, because they let you believe it for a few seconds, and I'm like, no way. But also, they cut out the whole scene where, like, when Rooster goes back to save him, there's like no conversation. Like, he's just like, I gotta go back. And then then he's there. And it's like, hey, he just like left his wingman, you know, like everybody else just like leaves him. They're like, deuces, bro, we're going back to the carrier because we were told to.
Right.
You go do what you gotta do.
Yeah. At that point, you got to figure you're all in, right? Like, if my boy is like, hey, man, I saw Maverick steal 2 planes. It's apparently not that big of a deal. I'm going to go save him from this 3rd plane that he just stole here. Would you guys like to come with me? I can't imagine looking at my friends and being like, no, this is the line, man. Listen, I was cool with the stealing of the planes, right? And I was also cool with breaching a sovereign nation's borders and then blowing up one of their facilities, not in a time of war. But this is it. I got to go back to this carrier. I hope that this works out for you.
You just pulled off like the greatest mission ever, right? And then you're worried about what the admiral's going to say to you if you go back to like get the guy who taught you everything or what, you know, like you got some space to maneuver at that point, I would think.
And if they haven't learned anything from Maverick at all, he has a career of telling people to politely fuck off and then going and doing ridiculous things. Like, they know that they're going to be okay. This guy made 06. He made 06. Yeah. He got kicked out of every assignment he's ever worked in, ever. And he made 06, and you're on a mission with him now. And you're telling me we can't get two of these planes to come shoot down a Hind to go help this guy on the ground? No? Nothing? All right, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that was... I think one of the reasons that this movie, it did work for me, is because, like you said, I'm not in the Navy. I'm not an aviator. They didn't touch any of my... Like, okay, when they're going in, there's all these SAMs and all this other stuff that, like, we can't do anything about. I'm like, well, or there might be some folks out there that can help you out with this problem that you got.
Right.
Or not. But, like, that was it. That was the closest they got to anything that I actually care about. So, like, you know, yeah, it was easy to throw the disbelief out there. And it's Tom Cruise, you know, who, you know, through the use of whatever stuff he's doing to stay young. He's the greatest action hero of, like 4 generations of people.
I don't think you're wrong. And the fact that that Tom Cruise, he actually flew the F-18. Like, he is flying the planes when they're doing the scenes. Like, what other actor has gotten anywhere close to that? He's got to be the GOAT. He's got to be the GOAT for this. Like, he strapped himself to a C-17 and was able to ride that bad boy for a movie.
Mm-hmm. He's psychotic.
I want to pause right here. I just almost made the world's most, we don't have to actually pause, but I just made, in my head, I just made the most insane joke that I've ever made, and I almost made it live while we're recording. Remind me to tell you what that joke was afterwards. Tom Cruise, C-17. I'll tell you afterwards.
It wasn't a C-17.
But I am glad that you... Yeah, the one that on the Mission Impossible movie, he strapped himself to the outside. He went on takeoff of a C-17, I believe. I don't think it was a 130, was it? I think it was a 17.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway,
we're not
get to this.
We're not actually going to put it out there and have it be incorrect.
We misgendered an airplane. That's the ultimate canceling in the Air Force, when you misgender an airplane.
I love you, PA. I'm sorry. I know it's hard.
Yeah, sure. All right. So the movie worked for you, and it worked for a couple reasons. How did it not work for you? So it worked for you. I think, it didn't try too hard. It hit you in all those soft spots. Like, it was good. Didn't go too deep. Where didn't it work for you?
No, I don't know why Jennifer Connelly had a daughter.
Yeah. Did that help anything? That entire love story thing?
I think the love story...
I guess just to show that they're old.
Just to show that, like, Maverick is incapable of, like, having real relationships until he resolves the Goose thing. I think that was the whole point of the love story. But her having a daughter, I think they were just like, it'd be weird if Jennifer Connelly was this old, living around Navy dudes, and hadn't married one of these idiots, ever. I don't know.
This is the best comment. I'm so glad. I should have totally told that inappropriate joke now, because you already just went way past what I was going to say with that one. That's fire. Good job.
It wasn't that bad.
I appreciate that.
Was it?
No, it's totally right. If you're a bartender on NASNY and you think that you haven't had kids a couple of times, you're wrong. Like, get out of here. That silver strand, it's intoxicating, my dude. All right. So the other reasons why it didn't work for you, go. So, had a kid, doesn't add anything to the story, agree.
I think most of it, I think most of it worked, because I've been thinking about this, and there was a few things I actually wrote down. The movie was obvious, predictable, hokey, and nostalgic, right? It's like the Expendables with fighter jets. But the Expendables tried so hard to do, like, all these tongue-in-cheek jokes and all these other things. Like, this one, it didn't really try that hard. It just was. It's like, hey, we're going to start out with, like, a frame-for-frame, recreation, updated recreation of the first movie. Same song. Same things happening.
They didn't even use different music. One song at the very end of the movie. Lady Gaga did one song, and it played during the credits. Like, that shit was not even a question.
Nah. So, like, they're not trying to pretend that it's something that's not. And so, and the acting and some of the dialogue and whatever, it's a movie. It's kind of dumb.
Right.
But I mean, I liked it. I think they didn't, like you said, they didn't go too hard at anything. Like, there weren't guys crying all over the place when Val Kilmer died. It just is what it is. He's been in 30 years. He's had plenty of friends die. He does the funeral thing, and he moves on, So there was nothing too offensive in it that I remember.
Right. I think that's
it
one
worked
of my
for
positives. Right. All right. So out of 10 stars, out of 10, what do you rate this bad boy?
I mean, I'm probably going to pay $30 for it when it comes out on iTunes. So 8.
I love it. Okay. You're only an 8? An 8? I'm going to actually... Okay. I feel like, okay. You got some mind
So here's the
changing?
thing, right? One of the Mission Impossible movies that I can watch over and over again with my kids. I like it because it's got the action, Tom Cruise on a sea, whatever, flying away, but also, like, the pithy dialogue and how smart it is and all those other things. This movie wasn't smart. It was funny and entertaining, and the action scenes with the birds were phenomenal, like, next level awesome.
Okay.
But that's the only thing it was missing was, like, smart dialogue.
Okay. So smart. Okay. So the smart dialogue thing, I totally get it. I don't disagree with you there. There were some times that were like super cringy. Like
Yeah.
my favorite scene in the bar that highlights the smart dialogue thing. Maybe fighter pilots are like this. Maybe I haven't spent enough time. But they're at the bar, everybody's playing pool, and they just start ticking off everybody's call signs, and they're like, "Oh no, look, there's payback. There's pitch purse. There's hangman. There's Banana Jones." Like, why are we calling
Bob.
everybody by their call sign? It was the most ridiculous thing. Be like, oh, that's Hangman. He's got 2 kills. Oh, that's Payback. He's got 5.
I don't know.
Like, maybe it is a thing that they do, but I can't understand it. I'm going to go higher than you, and here's why. So, with some assumptions here, here's the assumption. Okay. And I went into this thing a skeptic. So, my friend, Kinetic Perspective, what's up? Jay Dizzle. Kinetic Perspective posted on his story, and that's what started leading me down this road, as he was like, that was the best sequel I've ever seen. No movie is a better sequel. And immediately I was like, we need to talk. Can you tell me how this movie was better than Godfather 2 or Return of the Jedi? Can you tell me how? And he's like, hear me out. In today's context, in the time and the space where this movie exists, this movie is exactly what you want it to be. It's nothing that you don't want it to be, and nothing about it annoys you. And I was like, what do you mean? The storyline, like, of course, he ended up taking like a multiculturally diverse, sexually like gender diverse team with him. Like, there was like everybody was represented in the team. Like, even like,
yeah,
it was funny because like even the characters, he was like, I'm taking Phoenix as my 2 ship, and everybody's like, Phoenix, she didn't do that well. And everybody just kind of gave that look and then went on with it. But it didn't annoy you. It was just like, hey, here's our team, and you're like, okay, cool, it's a movie, you got to do it, right? Like, no kidding, nothing about anything like that was really super annoying the entire time. Like, the entire time I was like, I can deal with all of these things that they're doing. It wasn't anything that I was just like, oh, so in my face, whatever, that I have to deal with it. Furthermore, and this is why I say that I will grant this movie a 9.25. And here's why. I challenge you. When this movie starts streaming, if you were alone in the house and you're just cleaning, you're doing something, you want to put on background music, you're telling me you're not putting this movie on? You're telling me
I'm not going to say
you're
that.
telling me your friends get together hammered and you're like, oh man, I don't know. It's the end of the night. We're just going to have a nightcap. Let's put something on for background music. You're telling me Maverick doesn't get the nod?
No.
This movie is fantastic. There were fight scenes all the way through it. There were chill moments that like ebbs and flows, emotional roller coasters, just enough to make you care about the emotions of the people involved. If there was still cable, and I always put Shawshank Redemption, this is my movie, it's the Shawshank Redemption example. If I am flipping past on cable, when there used to be cable and you used to have to like flip on and just watch what was on at the time, I know it's a crazy concept, but if you flip past Shawshank Redemption, no matter where it was in that movie, you're like, you took the remote and you're like, nope, this is the best that it could get. I don't care if it's half an hour in, if it's 2 hours left in the movie, does not matter. If you pass this movie up on cable, using the cable example, if you pass this movie, you're like, nope, Maverick, Top Gun, this is the one. The rewatchability of this movie, off the charts.
Yeah, they did a good job. I'm going to have to rewatch it a few times, though, to figure out if it starts to annoy me.
I'm going to have to see. The rewatchability is going to need to be put to the test. But I think that if you turn this movie on at any point, you're like, oh man, him and Rooster still fighting. But you're like, oh no, he's about to kill everybody and make him do all those push-ups. Oh no, what part of the movie is it? Oh, it's where they can't figure out if the run can be done. Oh, this is the time he steals an aircraft for the 3rd time. There's so many parts of the movie that you can just be like, man, awesome. I'll watch this movie from now until the end.
Yeah. I think every scene where Jennifer Connelly is talking, I'd probably skip over it, but otherwise,
fast forward.
Yeah, pretty
don't good. Like it. Don't need it.
I get it. Whatever. Like, I get it. I get why it was there. This movie wasn't like deep. It was maybe like 2 layers deep. But for anybody that wanted to make a broader point about, Maverick's redemption story within himself and forgiveness and all that other stuff, and it was kind of necessary.
Yeah, for sure. To show he's come full spectrum. It's not, he can move on now outside of work because he has the love of his life, who apparently had a kid for no reason. We don't know why.
And it just so happens that his P-51 is done getting fixed at the same time that she shows up, and it just worked out.
That's the
I don't
bridge,
know if she would have stayed.
They could still enjoy their love of flying.
Dude, and they upgraded the car because his original girlfriend had a Carmen Ghia, and she had a Porsche.
It was a base Porsche too. It wasn't like the greatest.
Yeah, I think it was one of the older ones
You hate
too.
to
That's like
see
a
it.
death trap.
It is.
But
Any other thoughts on Top Gun Maverick? So you went an 8. I went a 9.25 out of a possible 10.
I mean, 8's really high. Like, because they're talking like Shawshank Redemption is like a 10, right?
Okay.
Because it's almost a perfect movie. The only issue I have with Shawshank, right, as a father, is I can't watch it with my kids yet.
Right.
That's the only gripe I have with that. It's like, why do I love the Mission Impossible movies so much right now? Like, or like the superhero movies. It's like, because they're pretty entertaining and I can turn it on with my kids around and they're not going to go to school and start telling people to go F themselves or talk about, butt rape. So that's good.
We almost made it through. We almost made it through an entire podcast without getting demonetized, and there it was. Congratulations, we did it.
It's Shawshank Redemption. That's what they talk about.
This is why 3 people watch the Aaron and Trent show, is because we do things like that.
Yeah, but the one of those 3 people actually requested it, so we're like, yeah, let's hop on and knock it out. Let's see what happens.
Hilarious, by the way. One guy was like, "Hey, when are you guys gonna do another Aaron and Trent show?" And all of us literally like looked over like, "Huh? People actually request those. That's weird. That actually hit the group chat." We're like, "Hey, do you
see this one coming?"
He's trolling? Nobody saw this one coming. Came out of nowhere. All right.
Anything else?
Man, I think that feels like a good place to end. Another Aaron and Trent show in the books. This one, the comprehensive review of Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, I should have warned you before we started this too. I don't like to end these podcasts because I have a good time talking to you. So every time you're like, "This is a good place to end," I always try to come up with something else to talk about, and it's probably pretty annoying. But we can end it. It's Memorial Day. Get back to some Memorial Day stuff.
Yeah, I have a toast. I'm gonna go raise a toast. I already got my workout in, and I didn't tell anybody about it because that's it's a crazy new thing I'm trying a thing where you just go do stuff, and maybe you don't need to tell everybody about it. But I'm gonna go have a toast and a shot to some fallen friends, and that's gonna wrap my Memorial Day up.
What are you using for the toast? Let's just real curious right now.
Vodka. Just
Okay.
a single shot. I don't drink on school nights. That's been a thing that we normally do. Like, you don't go into tomorrow drinking. So I'll just take a single shot, call it good. I don't keep a whole lot of liquor at the house anymore, which is a crying shame. I need to start getting my collection back up, at least for my whiskey, but it's what it is.
Oh, one last thing about Top Gun.
Okay.
How much working out do you think those folks did for the beach scene? Because and the only frame of reference I have, there's only 2 people in that scene that I've seen on a regular-ish basis, right? And it's Tom Cruise, who we know, I think, stays in pretty ridiculous shape despite his advanced age. But like Miles Teller is not known as being like a yoked dude, and like Goose was not a yoked dude, so it was weird that they forced this dude for 4 months or whatever it did, on the chicken breast and rice diet in Hollywood. To get yoked for the beach scene.
Right. Well, and the other guy, the hangman dude, whoever plays that, be still my beating heart. That guy was jackedy, McJackerson. You know what pisses me off, though? Thanks, and I'm going to blame Hollywood for this one, but it was not the same on the female side. They let the females get away with, like, sports bra, but the sun was always behind them, so it was like a silhouette, and then the other girl had on a tank top. Like, the guys had to go through, like, it appears, a very intense fitness regimen and probably some gear to get looking as good as they did. And the girls are like, "No, we don't want to objectify them. You guys are allowed to have on long shorts." Like, these guys are playing football in the waves in jeans. Does that make any sense?
No, whatever. I don't know. That one guy looked like 2 Abercrombie models married each other and had babies, and that's what came out.
I was wrong. That's the best place to end it. That's the best place to end it. Two Abercrombie. I love it. There's just the sheer audacity of that comment. 2 Abercrombie models got together and had a baby, and then that was Miles Teller, and he looked great. And here it is.
No, it was the hangman guy, because Miles Teller was okay. The other guy was just like, that doesn't make sense. Let's stop talking about dudes and end this thing while we still.
No, I think. Don't worry, nobody's listening at this point. I think we're safe on that. Like, if you're still listening 48 minutes into this, feel free to shoot Trent and I a DM and give us your opinion on who's a hotter dude, Hangman or Miles Teller, who played Goose.
Yeah, that's going to be in Discord for sure.
It's 100% going to be a Discord. All right, dude.
Well, brother, it's good to see you, as always.
Good to see you, too. Fantastic time. I had a great time reviewing this movie with you. Nobody else has done this before. There's certainly not a thing called veterans react to any movie, so this should hit people right in the place that they're needing. You know what I mean?
That's what we try to do with this podcast, to surprise people with like new and exciting content that hasn't been covered before. It's really the goal of it. What we should...
Pretty much it.
We need to bring on people that didn't graduate the pipeline from now on to give fitness advice. That would really just like open up a new space for us that hasn't been explored before.
Fantastic. Do you maybe want to now, you know what, I'm going to hold that joke until we're done recording too. Nah, I can't. You almost had me there. Not today, Satan. Not on this day.
All right. Hey, well, everybody, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe if you really still feel like it and you made it this far. Congratulations, and we'll see you on Discord. Train hard, and later.
I love how you